Okay, so in this video we're going to be talking about the properties of exponents, and we'll do a couple of examples. This will be our first one. And off to the right side here, I just wrote out the properties of negative exponents and the rules we follow when we have negative exponents, so we can refer back to this. So let's go ahead and work on simplifying this down. I always like to work on the coefficients first. So in this case, we're going to do 4 divided by 2, which we get 2. Okay? Now, look at your variables. I have an x, and if I look on my denominator, I also have an x. So if we have the same base and we're dividing, we subtract the exponent. So again, I have the same base, I'm dividing, so I subtract the exponent. So 2 minus 3 is negative 1. So now I have x and a negative 1. Let's move on. Here I have y. Here I have y squared. They're both the same base. We're dividing, okay? So we subtract the exponents. Now remember, this y really has an exponent of 1. So you're doing 1 minus 2, which is negative 1. So here we get y, and then negative 1. And then continuing on, we have z squared and then z. Again, same base. This is really to the first power, okay? So again, going back to the quotient property, we have the same base. We're dividing, we subtract the exponent, so 2 minus 1 is 1. So we just get z. You can write z to the first, or I'll just write z, okay? Now, using our little template here, dealing with negative exponents. Very simple. So, if you have negative exponents and it's in the numerator, you simply just bring it down to the denominator and make it positive. So again, this is really over 1, okay? So just rewriting this, we now have 2z all over x, y. Okay? And remember, we do have an exponent on the outside here. Okay? And all we want to do now, this goes back to a power, right? Because remember, this really has an exponent of 1, this has an exponent of 1, exponent of 1, exponent of 1. So when we have a power to a power, we simply multiply. So 2 times 1 is 2, so we get this. We get 2 squared, z squared, x squared, and then y squared. Okay? And then we can go ahead and just do 2 squared, which we know is going to be 4. So our final answer is going to be right here. And then z squared all over x squared, and then y squared. All right? This right here is your final answer. Okay? Let's try one more example. Okay, so here's our next example. So again, I always like to do the coefficients first. So in this case, I'm going to do 3 divided by 2. So let's go ahead and write this out. Well, 3 divided by 2, we're just going to do 3 over 2. Okay, just leave it like this. Let's move on to our variables. So I have an x here, nothing in the denominator. But if I look up top, this is all multiplication, right? Even though it's not written in, it's 3 times x to the negative 1 times y times x squared, right? So this goes back to the product property. If you have the same base, right here, x to the negative 1 and x squared have the same base, and you're multiplying, you add the exponent. So in this case, I'm going to do negative 1 plus 2, and I'm simply going to get 1, or just x to the first power, or x. Okay? And then here, right, look at my y. Again, this really has an exponent of 1, so we can go ahead and write that in. Right? Nothing on the numerator I can do, but if I look at the denominator, right, same base, so I subtract, right? 1 minus 3 is going to give you negative 2. So we can go ahead now and just write negative 2, so y to the negative 2. We don't want to have any negative exponents, right? So in this case, I'm going to bring this down to the denominator, so it's simply like this now, y squared. Okay? And then just rewriting, we have this all to the second power. So again, this goes back to a power to a power. So let's go ahead and just put in our exponent. So this is the 1, this is a 1, this is a 1. So when we have a power to a power, we simply multiply. So 2 times 1 is 2. We get 3 squared. This will give us x squared. This will give us 2 squared. And this will give us y to the 4th. Okay? just simplifying this down, we get 9 x squared all over 4, and then y to the 4th. Okay? This here is going to be our final answer. Okay? So that's properties of exponents. Okay? And that is it.